Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Strength of Mind podcast. I'm very happy to have you with me again. We continue our journey through the recesses of the mind, and today we're going to talk about something that affects each of us: criticism. But don't worry, we're not going to grieve and break down. On the contrary, I'll show you how to make lemonade out of lemons and a springboard to success out of criticism. Who among us likes to be criticized? Well, that's right. Hand up the one who has never felt a sting in his heart after hearing a negative opinion. Well, okay, I see one hand. Or it's just my imagination. Haha. Criticism is something we naturally avoid, but paradoxically it's something that can be a valuable signpost for us and an engine for growth. You just have to know how to accept it, digest it, and use it. Because imagine such a situation. You enter the stage after your first stand-up. You were a little stressed, but all in all it went pretty well. A few people laughed. A few nodded their heads in approval. You walk off the stage. A friend comes up to you and says, "Well, all in all it went poorly. The jokes weren't exactly funny. You stuttered a bit, and in general you should change your profession." What do? Do you sink to the ground? Do you throw the microphone? Or do you know how to get out of this situation with a shield and still benefit from it? This is what we will talk about today. But before we get into specific techniques, let's take a moment to think about why criticism hurts us so much, and should we always be concerned about it? Because criticism is unequal to criticism. Let's start with the fact that there are different types of criticism. And to respond well to it, we need to be able to distinguish between them. We have constructive criticism, destructive criticism, and let's call it criticism out of the hat. That is simply a subjective opinion that contributes little. Constructive criticism is such a gift from the universe, a gift with a bow, only sometimes it's hard to see. It's feedback to help us grow, improve, become a better version of ourselves. It's feedback expressed in a concrete, factual way, with respect for our person. For example, "Listen, your presentation was great, but I think if you had added more numerical data, it would have been even more convincing." C. Concrete, respectful, proposing a solution. With destructive criticism, the matter is simple. It's like a kick in the stomach. It doesn't bring anything constructive. It's only meant to hurt, humiliate, demotivate. It is often general, unspecific, full of malice and personal attacks. A typical example: "What a hopelessness! You don't know anything. You are good for nothing." Such criticism is emotional garbage, and one should know how to ignore it. But about that in a moment. Constructive criticism is such a gift from the universe, a gift with a bow. Only sometimes it's hard to see. It's feedback to help us grow, improve, become a better version of ourselves. It's feedback expressed in a concrete, factual way, with respect for our person. For example, "Listen, your presentation was great, but I think if you had added more numerical data, it would have been even more convincing." C. Concrete, respectful, proposing a solution. With destructive criticism, the matter is simple. It's like a kick in the stomach. It doesn't bring anything constructive. It's only meant to hurt, humiliate, demotivate. It is often general, unspecific, full of malice and personal attacks. A typical example: "What a hopelessness! You don't know anything. You are good for nothing." Such criticism is emotional garbage, and one should know how to ignore it. But about that in a moment. And then there's the out-of-the-hat criticism. That is, a subjective opinion that is more an expression of taste than an objective assessment. It's a bit like music tastes. Some people like jazz, others like metal, and still others like disco polo. And there's no arguing which is better. We simply have different preferences. The same is true of opinions about our work, appearance, or manner. Not every opinion has to be accurate, and not every opinion we have to take to heart. Imagine you come back with a new hairstyle. You are satisfied with the result. You feel great. A friend comes up to you and says, You know what? In this hair you look like a poodle after a storm. Well, now what? Should you break down? Start crying? Run to the hairdresser and shave yourself bald? No, this is just her subjective opinion. Maybe your friend just doesn't like curly hair. The important thing is that you feel comfortable in your own skin. Okay, we have the types of criticism. Now let's get to the specifics. How to respond to it. The first rule: stop for a moment and take a deep breath. Don't react immediately. Our first reaction to criticism is often emotional. We feel anger, sadness, shame. Give yourself time for these emotions to subside. It's a bit like boiling water. If you get a burn, you need to cool the wound first before you can treat it. The second rule: separate facts from interpretation. Try to objectively evaluate what was specifically said. What is a fact? And what is someone's interpretation of that fact? It's a bit like a game of deaf telephone. Along the way, the message changes, acquires additional meanings, emotions. The important thing is to get to the point, to the pure information. For example, someone tells you, "You are hopeless, less good at what you do." This is an interpretation, not a fact. A fact may be that you made a mistake in a particular situation. But one mistake does not mean that you are hopeless, less good. Do you understand the point? The third rule: ask for details. If the criticism is general and vague, ask for specific examples. This will help you understand what someone really meant and whether the criticism is accurate at all. Don't be afraid to ask questions. This is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of maturity and a desire to grow. For example, someone tells you, "Your presentations are boring." Ask, what specifically makes you think they are boring? Is it the content, the manner of presentation, or something else? By asking further, you may discover that the problem is, for example, a lack of interaction with the audience. And this is already concrete information that you can do something about. Fourth rule: look for the truth in the criticism. Even if the criticism is expressed in an unpleasant way, try to find a grain of truth in it. Perhaps there is something you can improve, something you can work on. That doesn't mean you have to agree with everything, but it's worth being open to different perspectives. I remember a situation like this where I once got feedback from my mentor. He told me that I was great at coming up with ideas, but weak at implementing them. At first I was offended. I thought, "What do you mean weak? After all, I work hard." But then, calmly, I analyzed his words and realized that he was right. Too often I focused on generating new ideas and forgot about bringing them to completion. This feedback was very valuable to me, although it hurt at first. Fifth rule: separate the criticism from the person. Just because someone has criticized your work does not mean that they have criticized you as a person. This is a very important distinction. Don't take criticism personally. Don't identify with it. It is only feedback on your performance, not an assessment of your worth. Sixth rule: set boundaries. You don't have to tolerate destructive criticism, heckling, personal attacks. You have the right to say, "Stop." You have the right to stop the conversation. You have the right to block someone on social media. This is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of taking care of yourself and your mental health. Seventh rule: build self-esteem. The more you believe in yourself, the more you accept yourself as you are, the less you will be affected by the negative opinions of others. Work on your self-esteem. Surround yourself with positive people. Celebrate your successes. Eighth rule: seek support. Talk to someone close and trusted who will listen to you and support you. Sometimes you just need to get the negative emotions out of your system to feel better. And sometimes you need to hear from someone that you are valuable and that you can do it. Ninth rule: train assertiveness. Learn to express your opinion, your needs, and your boundaries in a way that respects yourself and others. Assertiveness is a key skill in dealing with criticism because it allows you to defend your opinion without being provoked into conflict. And finally, the 10th rule: remember that you don't have to please everyone. There will always be people who don't like something about you. This is normal. Don't waste your energy trying to convince them that you are right. Focus on what is important to you, on what develops you, on what gives you joy. In conclusion, dealing with criticism is a skill that can be learned. It requires awareness, emotional intelligence, assertiveness, and above all, self-confidence. But it's worth it, because by doing so, we can turn a difficult experience into an opportunity for growth and become stronger and more confident individuals. And finally, I would like to ask you a question. What will you do the next time you hear criticism? How will you respond? Use the knowledge from this podcast and turn criticism into your superpower. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope you found this episode valuable and inspiring. See you soon, and remember, criticism is not a judgment, it's information. Use it wisely.